Why people might not take you seriously and how to change it. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to ignore you, talk over you, test your patience, or question what you're worth? It's not because you're weak. It's often because you're seen as harmless. You might show too much of yourself too soon. You care too much and it's obvious. You try to be liked before being respected. In a world where people are always trying to get ahead, being liked without being respected is almost like being invisible. People don't fear kindness. They fear what they don't understand. What's a mystery? You've probably been taught your whole life to be good. Smile a lot, be open, be friendly, be easy to talk to. But here's the thing. People often don't truly respect good people. They use them. Why? Because if you're easy to figure out, you're easy to control. A smart thinker named Machiavelli knew this. He warned that a leader who isn't respected will always be in danger. This doesn't mean you should be mean or violent. It means you need to become hard to read. Think about a room full of noisy people. Who does everyone watch? The one who stays quiet. Not because they expect a joke, but because they expect something they can't quite put their finger on. That's your goal, to be watched. Not for attention, but because others are being careful around you. If you're not seen as someone who could cause trouble, you might be seen as someone who can be used. Look at your own life. How many times did people ignore you until you walked away? How many times did they only come back after you became quiet? How many people only respected your boundaries after you actually enforced them by keeping your distance? This happens because you were playing the nice game and they were playing the power game. They knew you'd explain, forgive, stay, apologize first, and never push back hard. Once someone knows you won't step up, they'll push you first and win. Machiavelli saw this in politics, and you see it in your relationships at work. Even at home, people don't test the dangerous ones. They test the ones who are easy to get to emotionally because they know your kindness will stop you before your pride does. But once you become someone who could be a quiet threat, they get nervous before they speak. They second-guess their tone, prepare more carefully. They hesitate to disrespect you. Why? Because now you might not bark, but you might bite. The power of not showing everything people expect you to react. That's how they figure out if they're in control. Can they make you flinch? Can they make you explain yourself? Can they make you try to win them over? Can they make you back down? Every time you do one of these things, they mark you as safe. Every time you don't, they mark you as potentially dangerous. And dangerous doesn't mean crazy. It means hard to figure out. Machiavelli understood that the moment people can guess your feelings, they'll shape your life around what they need, not what you need. But when they can't guess, they wait, they watch, they listen to you more carefully. You've spent your whole life trying to be loved first. Now, try being quietly respected, even a little feared. Not by yelling or making threats, but by being unpredictable, by using silence, by refusing to show your hurt when others expect it. The person who walks into a room with a big smile can be forgotten, but the person who walks in without needing to say a word, they become a presence, and a presence lasts longer than just a voice. Machiavelli never drew his sword unless he'd already won the fight with how others saw him. In the real world, it's not about what you truly are. It's about what others think you're capable of. You don't need to be dangerous. You need to be seen as dangerous. How do you do that? Without saying a word. You control what people see of you. You control your energy. You control the quiet moments. Because in every room, one rule applies. People fear what they don't understand, and they respect what they fear. Step 1. Don't show all your cards. People who talk a lot show everything there. Ambitions, their worries, their plans, what makes them emotional. They talk, they try to prove things, they show off. And the more they show, the easier it is to figure out how to beat them. But Machiavelli didn't teach you to expose yourself. He taught you to be unclear. He knew if others can read you, they can replace you. If they can't, they'll prepare carefully for you. So say less, react slower, keep your plans hidden. Not to confuse others, but to control how they understand you. In a world where everyone wants to be seen, the one person they can't quite define is the one they think about constantly. Step 2. Don't defend. Don't explain nothing breaks the idea of strength faster than getting defensive. Someone criticizes you and you explain yourself. You just showed them they hurt you. If they call you distant and you defend your quietness, you just showed them you care more than they thought. Every time you explain why you do something, you're basically saying you still have a way to get to my emotions. But Machiavelli would just look at them calmly. He'd nod, maybe smile, and just say, "Noted. It's how you become someone too. Be reckoned with. You'll hear everything and give nothing back." Step 3. Send mixed signals on purpose. The threat doesn't have to be aggressive. It needs to be unpredictable. People don't fear what they fully understand. They fear what seems to go against itself. Machiavelli might praise an ally one day and replace them the next. He might smile during a chat and then cut you off next week without explanation. He might be kind and then disappear without a reason why. Because nothing makes people feel uncertain like inconsistency. And feeling uncertain makes people more willing to follow your lead. You don't have to be mean. You just have to be confusing enough that people stay. Respectful because they don't want to test the side of you they haven't seen yet. This is what modern people call mystery. What Machiavelli called a necessary trick. Step 4. Stay calm. When others lose control, the most powerful way to scare someone without doing anything bad is to stay calm when everything around you is crazy. When people gossip, stay silent. When they yell, blink slowly. When they panic, speak calmly. When they insult you, just give a slight smile. This shows one thing. You can't rattle me. If you can't rattle me, you can't push me around. And if you can't push me around, you should be a little worried about what I might choose to do next. That calmness, refusal to get heated, is when you stop being just a person involved and become a central figure that others pay attention. 2. Machiavelli would rather say one short sentence at the end of a fight than explain himself 100 times during it. Because the fewer words you need, the more powerful each one becomes. And if people can't guess what you'll say, they start changing their behavior before you even speak. That's not just talking, it's giving orders. Power through presence, not force. When people hear threat, they think violence. When they hear dominance, they think control. But Machiavelli knew better. He wasn't obsessed with power through force. He was obsessed with power through presence. The people who are most respected and feared in any room are the ones who do the least, but are still noticed the most. It is much safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. This isn't because fear makes you mean, but because fear makes others respect your silence. You don't need to actually hit anyone. You just need to make people believe you might. And that belief is stronger than any argument you could ever make. If you don't seem like someone who can cause trouble, people will disrespect you. Think about it. If someone isn't afraid of losing you, they'll waste your time, talk over you, demand more than they give, expect explanations, and ask for favors without giving anything back. Why? Because your presence seems to have no importance. You're safe, easy to predict, kind, and always willing to help. In a Machiavellian world, these aren't good traits. They're weaknesses just waiting to be tested. So what does a threat look like? Not a weapon, not shouting, not revenge. Threat is saying nothing after being disrespected. It's staying calm when people gossip. It's being unpredictable without ever getting emotional. It's leaving a room and making people feel your absence. That's fear. Fear is your leverage. You're not just a person. You're someone with consequences. Once people experience you pulling back, your quiet distance, your refusal to chase them, they start connecting your silence with a change in their own world. When you stop replying, they start thinking hard. When you say less, they overthink. When you don't show up, they notice. Your absence becomes a mirror for them, not because you punished them, but because they suddenly realize, without his approval, I don't know how to judge myself anymore. That's a type of psychological warfare. Machiavelli didn't need armies to create fear. He needed silence, distance, and uncertainty. Because when people can't guess your next move, they either back off or try to win your favor again. And both outcomes work for you. Become the wolf. There's a reason why videos about killing the dog in You and Machiavelli demands the wolf are popular. Everyone feels the pain of being the emotional dog, loyal even when betrayed, friendly even when mocked, obedient even when ignored. And everyone wants to become the wolf. But here's what they don't get. The wolf doesn't bark. He just watches. And when he moves, no one is ready. That's who you need to become. You don't bark, you don't explain, you don't beg. You think carefully. You hold back. You let others feel the cool power of your presence without ever raising your voice. The people you can't forget are often the quiet ones. Here's the funny part. Loud people are remembered right away. Quiet, still people are remembered. For a long time, because after you leave a room, people keep thinking about what they couldn't figure out. Why didn't he say anything? Was he testing us? What did that silence mean? They can't move on because you never gave them a clear answer. And when people can't close the file, they keep rereading it forever. That's how a sense of threat is born, not from action, but from potential. You don't have to say a word to be powerful in a room. Most power isn't spoken. It's shown through your body language, through your presence, through what you don't do when everyone else is trying to be noticed. Machiavelli wouldn't shout commands. He would observe. He would let others show their true selves. And then without raising his voice, he'd make them fear the space between his words. Want to become someone people take seriously? Start with daily habits that make people wonder about your influence daily. Habits to build your presence. Habit 1. Never be the first to react. When someone says something offensive or tries to get a rise out of you, wait. Everyone else rushes to respond, to defend, to get the last word, but not you. You just blink. You pause. You let their energy hit your stillness. Why? Because the person who reacts first is always seen as the weaker one. But the one who waits? Everyone watches, waiting for their move. Machiavelli would rather let someone think he didn't hear them than respond before they finish talking. The pause isn't hesitation, it's calculation. And people are more scared of being calculated than being argued with. Habit 2. Speak slower. Say less. Leave earlier. This sounds simple, but it changes how people see you. Speaking slower shows control. Saying less shows value. Leaving early shows mystery. Most people talk to be understood, but power doesn't try to be understood. It wants to be thought about. You want people to ask, what did he mean by that? Is he agreeing or warning me? Why did he leave when things got interesting? Machiavelli made people nervous without yelling because he never stayed long enough to be fully known. And what they can't fully understand, they start to fear. Habit 3. Pull back to make your presence stronger. The most powerful people aren't always around, but when they are, everyone feels it. Why? Because they don't show up too much. You need to leave social events, chats, arguments, even meetings before your presence becomes normal. The dog is always there. The wolf appears, then disappears. And when the wolf disappears, everyone wonders where he went. This is how Machiavelli taught power through scarcity. Be the one people notice is gone, not the one they expect to stay. Habit 4. Never over-explain your actions. Explaining makes sense to you. You want to be clear, honest, understood. But Machiavelli knew every explanation takes away from your power. If you say no, just say no. You changed your mind, let it be changed. If you walked away, stay. Gone. No reasons. No emotional talk. No justifying your boundaries. Because once you start explaining, you start defending. And once you start defending, you're not in charge anymore. You're just negotiating. Someone who is seen as a threat never negotiates. Habit 5. Stay emotionally neutral in social situations. You'll notice how people constantly try to test your emotional state. They'll say annoying things to see if you'll correct them, joke about your silence to make you talk, flirt, poke fun, or make you feel guilty just to break your calm. Because they can feel that unreadable energy, and they're afraid of it. They try to break it because if they can't, they'll have to assume you're stronger than them. Let them assume. Just smile, watch, and pull back. The more they try to figure you out, the more power you gain. Machiavelli didn't just act powerful. He practiced ways of staying calm, movements that showed control, a daily attitude that whispered, "You don't know what I'm capable of, and you never will. But if you cross me, you might find out." Balancing fear and respect, there's a thin line between being a mystery and being ignored. Between silence that shows power and silence that just fades away. Machiavelli's genius wasn't in picking fear over respect. It was knowing how to balance both, so that when you said nothing, they still heard your name in the room. Fear without respect leads to trouble. If people only fear you, they'll pretend to obey but plot behind your back. They'll follow rules in public but try to cause problems. In private, they'll pretend to give in but build up anger secretly. This is short-term power. It keeps people in line for a moment, but it makes them dream of your downfall. Machiavelli knew this. That's why he didn't just demand quietness. He earned respect through being unpredictable. Fear must be combined with a controlled admiration. Not love, not being liked, but a deep respect. The kind that says, "He could destroy me, but he hasn't." However, respect without fear creates people who feel entitled. If people only respect you, they'll praise you openly, like your leadership, trust your skills. But eventually, they'll ask for more than they give. They'll talk over you. They'll expect kindness as a given. You become liked, not watched carefully. And when people stop watching you closely, they start underestimating your power. The answer is tension. The most powerful people carry a subtle tension around them. Not drama, just tension. That quiet feeling that you're kind, but not to be messed with. You're calm, but not to be played with. You're silent, but not asleep. This tension keeps people a little on edge around you in a good way, because they don't know how much of what you show is real. And the moment people start trying to figure out how deep you are, they stop trying to control you. How do you build that tension? Machiavelli would do it like this. Be consistent in control, inconsistent in emotion. We're always calm and collected, but not always warm. Sometimes you're observing, sometimes you're unreadable, sometimes you're slightly amused. Never angry, never completely passive. Just in control, but not entirely easy to predict. That unpredictability keeps them slightly off balance. Give one moment of clear insight, then disappear. You don't talk often, but when you do, it's very precise. End an argument with one sentence. You calm a tense situation with one phrase. You correct a mistake once, and then leave it. Then you're gone. You leave the message open-ended. You don't repeat yourself. And that one powerful moment sticks longer than 1,000 speeches. That's lasting tension. Make people feel the importance of losing you without actually threatening to leave. Machiavelli would never beg for attention. He'd never threaten to go away. But he'd train people to feel the impact when he pulls back. You stop replying. You stop nodding. You become professionally distant. You leave the room early without a word. No explanation, no clear ending, just distance. And they will feel it, because your presence had a value they didn't appreciate until it was gone. Now they do. And next time, they'll step more carefully. Praise exists without needing your approval. When people compliment you, you don't melt. You don't brush it off. You don't return the compliment right away. You nod. You hold eye contact, maybe a brief smirk. But you don't need to confirm their compliment by being overly grateful or submissive. Why? Because accepting praise without showing that you depend on it tells people something a little scary. You already know you're worthy, and their words were just a polite gesture, not something you needed. This is how you walk that fine line. You let people respect your quiet strength, but fear the mystery underneath it, that tension. That's how Machiavelli would have ruled today. The unforgettable and the unreadable, the loud ones get noticed. Quiet ones get remembered. Machiavelli didn't just want to control people right then and there. He wanted to live in their heads long after he left the room, because true power isn't just about control. It's about a presence that stays even after you're gone. And the most dangerous kind of presence is the one that never explained itself. Men are quicker to forget the death of a father than the loss of their inheritance. Now ask yourself, what kind of person must you become to feel like an inheritance when you disappear? Let's build that version of you, step by step. Obsession isn't created by being always available. It's created by distance. People don't obsess over what they fully understand. They obsess over what felt close, but never truly belonged to them. And that's how you become unforgettable. By being present enough to feel real, but distant enough to feel out of reach. Give them a moment of eye contact. A word that hits deeper than it should. A calmness that makes emotional people uneasy. And then you vanish. That absence becomes a psychological loop they can't close. Strategy 1. Don't give them what they expect. Most people show their whole selves within minutes. They're overly kind, overly expressive, always available. You smile less, speak slowly, offer only what's necessary. You create such a sharp difference that it forces people to slow down around you. They change their tone, their behavior, even their breathing. Not because you demanded it, but because your energy changed the whole feeling. Now you've left your mark. Strategy 2. Let them guess, then hold back. People will try to put a label on you. He's intense. She's mysterious. They're hard to read. Let them. Because once they start guessing, they start thinking about you constantly. They'll replay your silence. Pick apart your expressions. Make up stories to explain the parts of you they can't get to. Don't correct them. Their imagination is now like your own public relations team, and the more confused they are, the more they keep coming back. Strategy 3. Leave them mid-sentence, figuratively or literally. Emotional closure is what most people crave. They want full explanations, clear endings, a neat bow on top. You end conversations slightly before they feel finished. You disappear slightly before they feel ready. You stay silent for a moment longer than they expected a reply. Why? Because that feeling of incompleteness becomes a hook. They'll replay the moment again and again, trying to finish what you started. That's how your presence becomes an obsession. Strategy 4. Protect your inner world like a private kingdom. They ask what drives you. You say, I'm focused. They ask if you're okay. You say, always adapting. They ask what you want. You say, that depends on the day. You give them hints, never the full story. Because the moment someone fully knows why you do things, they start planning how to use it against you. But when your inner world feels like a fortress, they stop trying to break in and start watching, wondering, and thinking of you long after you've stopped thinking of them. Machiavelli's genius wasn't in being remembered as a great man, it was being remembered as a man who could have done anything and chose when, how, and if. That if is the hook. That's what they can't forget. You've made it to the final stage, where silence isn't just a trick. It's your natural state, where you don't hide what you feel. You simply decide when, where, and if it's worth showing. Machiavelli's ultimate form wasn't loud. It wasn't brutal. It was disciplined. Because true power isn't when people obey you out of fear. It's when they start acting differently, just in case you're watching. The person who is hard to read cannot be cornered. Once they understand you, they start trying to manage you. But once they realize they'll never fully figure you out, they give up on control. And instead they give you space because you are now unpredictable. And what's unpredictable becomes untouchable.